We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Vav Amud Beis Meseches Sukkah. This is Sukkah Daf 36b. The Gemara here just finishes its sentence from the previous Amud. V'sulo midi. There's nothing further to discuss, meaning the opinions of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shimon are not necessarily related to each other, as we explained on the previous Amud. And the Gemara continues quoting what was quoted above. Godlo b'defus. Let's say you have the esrog grow in a mold, v'asokim in birya acher, so that it's shaped in a completely different way. It looks like something totally different. Pasul. So in that case, it's pasul. And the Gemara says, Amar Rava. Rava says, Lo shanu al kamin birya acheres. This is only true if it looks like something different. Aval kibriya so kasha. But if it looks like an esrog, then it's fine. So the Gemara says, Pshita, isn't that obvious? Kamin birya acheres tanya. That's what it said. It said if it looks like a different thing in the brisa, then it said it's pasul. The implication is if it looks like an esrog, it would be good. So it's not even a chiddush what Rav is saying. So the Gemara says, Lo tzricha, no, it's needed. Davida dape dapi. It looks like planks of wood, as Rashi over here explains. Davida dape dapi kamin krushim ken galgal shel rechaim shel mayim. It's like the boards of wood, the planks of wood that you have in a millstone of water that's run by water. V'rava ashmina dehunami briyaso. Rav is telling you, even though that might not look exactly like an esrog, that looks enough like an esrog that it qualifies. And the Gemara continues, Itmar, it was learned, esrog shenigvu achborim. Let's say you have a situation where you have an esrog that has holes in it from mice or from rats. Amar Rav says, Ein zeh hadr. That's not considered hadr. You can't use that for the mitzvah. Gemara says, Ini, is that really true? Rabbi Chanina matvil ba v'nafik ba. Rabbi Chanina used to dip with the esrog. He used to eat a little bit, and then he would actually use that exact esrog to be yotzei. So it's exactly the same case. You eat a little from the esrog, and apparently you can still be yotzei. The Gemara says, wait, what's going on over here? Rabbi Chanina kasha masnisin. According to Rabbi Chanina, our Mishnah is difficult. Our Mishnah says if it's missing any amount, it's going to be pasul. So how could Rabbi Chanina even do that? So the Gemara says that we can answer. B'shalama masnisin Rabbi Chanina lo kasha. I understand our Mishnah. Rabbi Chanina can explain it as follows. Can be Yom Tov Rishon, can be Yom Tov Sheni. It depends if you're talking about the first day of Yom Tov. It depends if you're talking about the other days of Yom Tov. As Rashi over here says, Masnisin be Yom Tov Rishon shalikichaso min haTorah. On the first day of Sukkah, is taking the lulav and esrog as a doraisa. Uvinan lekichatami, you have to take the full taking. Tichsivu lekachtam lekichatam of Yom Tov Sheni nafik bei Rabbi Chanina afagav deloya shalom. And after the first day, on the other days of Sukkot, Rabbi Chanina said it doesn't have to be shalom. It could be missing a little bit. It doesn't have to be complete, and you're still going to be yotzei. So Rabbi Chanina, we can explain. Ela Rav kasha, but according to Rav, we actually have a kasha, because Rav said that if it has a hole from the mice, it's a problem, but apparently if it has a hole, it's not a problem. So the Gemara says, Amar lach Rav will tell you, Shani achborim demi'isi. Right. When it comes to the mice already, that's disgusting. That's why that's going to be a problem. Rashi over here says, Ela l'Rav damar ein zeh hadar kasha d'Rabbi Chanina do afilu b'sheni nami l'Rav lo nafik to ha mitzvah hidura ba'inan. Everyone agrees you're going to need the mitzvah to be beautiful even on the second days. Ha'olu mazkir shem shamayim olav kedamar reish pirkin yavesh pasal lo shna b'yam tov rishon lo shna b'yam tov sheni. That's what we say. We say when it comes to a dry esrog, that's a problem on the second days as well. Fukimna de ba'inan hadar v'lek. Everyone agrees that you need hadar on the second day. So again, what's Rav's answer going to be? And the Gemara says Rav's answer is by achborim in particular, that's considered disgusting. That's a problem. But if it's eaten not by achborim, it could be okay on the second days. Gemara says, Ika Diamri, some have a slightly different version of the above discussion. And according to this version, Amar Rav says, Zeh Hadar, in a situation where the mice ate from it, that actually is considered Hadar. Rabbi Chanina, Matvil Ba, V'nafik Ba, because we have a proof from Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Chanina would dip with it, and then he would be Yotzei the mitzvah. He would eat with it, and then be Yotzei the mitzvah. So you see that that's exactly in line with Rabbi Chanina. And then the Gemara asks in this version, Ul Rabbi Chanina, Kasha Masnisin, but according to Rabbi Chanina, isn't our Mishnah difficult? If it's missing any amount, isn't that a problem? The Gemara answers like before, Lokash is not difficult, can be Yom Tov Rishon, can be Yom Tov Sheni. If you're talking about on the first day, then if it's missing something, it is indeed a problem. Otherwise, it's not going to be a problem. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, quoting the Mishnah, Esrog, Katan, V'chulu. It said if you have an Esrog that's very small, so then we had a machlokus, what's the minimum size of an Esrog? So the Gemara says, Amar Afram Bar Papa says, Kim machlokus kan kach machlokus ba'avonim mikorzalos. When you're talking about minimum sizes, we have the exact same machlokus by the round stones. They used to use these stones to clean up after themselves in the bathroom. The Tanya, as we learned in a brayso, b'Shabbos gimul avonim mikorzalos muter lahachnes lebeis hakisei. It says that on Shabbos, assuming you're not carrying it more than Dalet Amos, you're not doing a doraisa of carrying, you can take these 3 round stones into the bathroom, and it's not a problem of tiltal, it's not a problem of muksa, of moving something that's muksa, because it's considered kavod abrius, and therefore they're lenient. The kama shiyurin, now how large are these stones? Exactly the same machlokus that we have by the minimum size of the esrog. Rabbi Meir Omer Ke'egos, Rabbi Rabbi Meir says the size of a nut. Rabbi Yehuda Omer kebeitzer. Rabbi Yehuda says it's the size of an egg. Rashi over here says ke'egos kasaver b'hachi chazia lekinuach. He holds that that's the amount that is fit for wiping. Aval gedola lo chazia. According to Rabbi Meir, if it's larger than that, it's not fit for that purpose, and therefore it's going to be a problem. Then the Mishnah talked about how large, what's the maximum size. The Gemara says, Tanya, we learned in a Bryce Summer, Rabbi Yossi says, Ma'aseh Rabbi Akiva. There was a story with Rabbi Akiva, Shabal lebeis hakneses ve'esrogo al ksefo. He came into the shul, and his esrog was so large that he had it on his shoulder. Amr lo Rabbi Yehuda, so Rabbi Yehuda said to him, Misham Ra'ai, you think you can bring a proof from that? Af heim amru lo ein zahadr. They even told him in that situation, they said that's not considered hadr, that's not considered beautiful, and you're not yotze the mitzvah with such an esrog. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Ein ogdin es halulav ela b'mino divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda holds that when you bind the lulav, you have to do it with the species of the lulav itself. You can't use a different species. Rabbi Meir says, Afilo b'chut b'meshicha, even if you do it with a string or a cord, that's also okay. Amar Rabbi Meir said, Ma'aseh Banshi Yerushalayim. There's a story with the people of Yerushalayim. Shayu ogden es lulavein begimonio shel zav. They used to bind their lulavs with rings of gold. So you see, you don't have to use the same min. Amrulo, they said to him, B'mino hayu ogden osam lamat. It's not a good proof, because they actually used to use the min of the lulav to bind it from the bottom. The golden rings were just designed just to beautify it. That was not fulfilling the mitzvah of binding the species together. And the Gemara says, Amar Rava says, Afilo b'siv, Afilo b'ikra de dikla. When we say in the Mishnah, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that you have to use the same min to bind the lulav, it can even be the fibers from the trunk of the palm tree. It can even be the part of the actual trunk of the palm tree. That's all considered the same min. V'yamar Rav, and Rava says, my time with Rabbi Yehuda. What is the reason of Rabbi Yehuda? Why does he hold you have to bind it? B'mino, kasavar, because Rabbi Yehuda holds lulav tzarech eged, that by lulav there's a requirement to bind it. V'maisi min achrina have a chamisha minis. If you bring another min, it's going to be that you have 5 minim. It's only supposed to be daled minim the mitzvah. You have to bring 4 species, not 5, and therefore it's a problem to use something else. V'yamar Rav, and Rava says further, how can I prove to you that the fibers or the trunk of the tree, that's considered the same min as the lulav? The Tanya, as we learned in a Brisa, Basukkah's teishvu, it says that when you sit in the sukkah, you should dwell in the sukkah. Sukkah shall kol davar. The sukkah can be made out of any material. Divrei Rabbi Meir, that's Rabbi Meir's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda says, Ein sukkah noheges ela bedalid minim shabelulav. When we talk about building a sukkah, we'll see later the schach, we're talking specifically you have to use one of the 4 species of the lulav as part of your schach. V'hadin nosin, and it's logical this way. Uma lulav she'noig b'leilos kiviyamim. When it comes to lulav, which you don't do at nighttime and at daytime, it's only a mitzvah in the day. Eino noig ela barbas minim. It only applies with the 4 minim. Sukkah shenoheges b'leilos kiviyamim. You have a sukkah which is a mitzvah that applies at night and during the day. Eino din shalot ela barbas minim. Certainly should only be with the 4 minim. So the Gemara says, Amrulo, they said to him, Kol din shatadon tchilas lahachmir v'sofo lahakel eino din. Anytime you make some kind of a logical kal v'chomer, and originally you're trying to get a chumrah, he's trying to get a chumrah over here, Rabbi Yehuda, to say that you can only use the daled minim, but in the end, as we'll see in a moment, it's going to end up coming to a leniency. So that kind of a kal v'chomer is not a good kal v'chomer, and we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph.